Hello everyone and welcome back to Faithful to the Traitors. Sorry, I forgot where we were then. Series 3 of the US. Can I just say, and I'm not talking about this podcast, but it may apply. What a shit show this is.
You're talking about this podcast as well, if you like.
What a mess.
I've never seen a group of traitors literally fall apart in this fashion ever on any series of traitors. Even Australia Series 2 never fell apart like this. It's just
messy.
It's messy, but strangely entertaining. I'm quite enjoying it, I must say. I love the fact that no one in that turret, when they do their murders at the end of every episode, like, that's second to their
they're not even
conversation.
talking about the murders, really. No. They just murder whoever they can be bothered to by the time they've finished arguing.
Well, Carolyn said at the beginning of the episode, there's no one I want to murder other than you two. So she would happily have murdered, if she could have murdered a traitor, she would have murdered a traitor. Obviously, the influence would have been very difficult to convince. Maybe not for Danielle toward Rob, but oh my God, them three are just falling apart. Absolutely falling apart. And they're voting for each other, but they're not on the same... See, we see when traitors go for another traitor because they think that they're dangerous, but never have we seen a traitor vote for another traitor and then a different traitor voting for another different traitor. Like, it's just all over the place.
And it's not even that they're doing a good game either, I feel.
No,
apart from Carolyn. Not. But Carolyn's kind of given up her game this episode and just been like, well, I'm just going to take you out, Danielle, because you're trying to take... But like Danielle and Rob, they keep going on about how masterful they are, but they're not good at the traitors, I feel.
Rob's good at the round table. You've got to give him kudos for that. No, he was good at the round table. When Derek was going for him, he was quite good at giving it back. And to be fair, the exchange between Derek and Rob, for me, was a highlight to this episode because it was very cordial between them. Like, Derek said his piece toward Rob said his piece toward Derek, then they went for Wes. It's like, but it was done in such a kind of like considerate way. I enjoyed watching the round table, actually, until again it started to fall apart between Carolyn and Danielle, and then it just became a catfight between them two, and everyone around the table, including our mate Tom, who has no idea what's going on anymore. Just like, Tom is just cracking me up.
Tom is an enigma.
He's just, the fact he was eating at the table after the game, and he was just stood there like looking around the room like for clues. Like, I genuinely believe he thinks he's shrunk himself and become like a piece and a Cluedo's there. Like, he has no idea what's going on.
Well, let me stop you there, because we recorded all 5 episodes of this podcast at once without any feedback from our listeners, viewers.
No.
So since then we've had lots of comments because we've been talking about Tom and how his odd erratic behavior is kind of like funny to us,
but we love him. Or do we?
Well, I don't know, that's the thing. But the thing is, we've had loads of comments being like, why do you like Tom? Why are you being positive about Tom? We go into this show, we literally know nothing about any of these people, not even either. We don't even know who he is.
No. And he's a British royal, and the inverted commas really hold a lot of weight on that comment.
And we don't look up any of these contestants until they're eliminated, and then we do our little fact file and we look up a little bit about them.
They're civilians to us. They're not celebrities.
So we don't know anything about them. We just find that the edit is hilarious on Tom and Carolyn.
Yes.
We love Carolyn. Yeah. Tom is just funny. His edit's funny. But we've had loads of comments saying, why are you supporting Tom? Why is this? He's like really hated in America, apparently. And he's like on this show is like a
redemption.
He's trying to redeem his career.
Is he?
Apparently.
He's become more of a comedy figure now.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. And like, it's quite clear that not many people in the house like him. Not the house, the castle like him, because like every time he comes up with a suggestion, they're
ignoring him. Yes.
Here he is.
But anyway, where were you leading with this?
Anyway, someone sent us an email saying Tom's behaviour.
Yes.
Hi boys, love your podcast. As a Vanderpump Rules fan and someone who keeps abreast of the Bravo universe, I can confidently inform you that we are witnessing Tom detoxing from a unspecified Class A habit.
That doesn't surprise me,
doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
I had that down, but that's why his behaviour is so funny. And the edit and the cameras on him are obviously watching for his reaction.
This is like a Betty Ford clinic type show for Tom.
The sweating, breakdowns, erratic behaviour. It's common knowledge that he partakes in recreational drugs, and this is clearly what we're seeing. 2 weeks in Scotland Castle is basically a rehab for him.
Good for him, though. Good detox for him. He's getting paid to detox on television. I say 10 out of 10. If only Dorinda had the same opportunity, but unfortunately, her red wine habit continues.
But we've had loads of comments to say, don't support Tom. He's hated. He's horrible. He cheated on this Ariana person. Blah 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 blah. He's
Ariana
hated
Grande.
in America. That's fine, but we literally don't know these people. We just know what we're seeing on this, and he makes me laugh. So we're not even supporting him really. He's just funny to watch.
No, he's an awful player. He's a bad faithful, as they've categorized him as now. And in today's episode, it really did show because he was just nuts, and like he threw out Dolores's name, and everyone was just like, "Yeah, all right, Tom." He just kind of walked off and just left him do it. So I don't feel sorry for him, but I do think it's funny to watch him in these situations where he's literally a rabbit in headlights every time, just completely jumping from one thing to the next.
I mean, a lot of these Americans are eating lots of food. I've really noticed this series; they're just constantly eating. But Tom mainly is just shoveling it wherever he can.
Tom doesn't even go from the buffet table to a sitting down place. He literally goes 2 feet from the buffet table. Yeah, just starts shoveling it into his mouth.
Caroline's eating cereal with a fork.
Again, it doesn't surprise me.
No milk gets through, just the cereal. It's
she's just taking each Rice Krispie and slamming it into the sporks.
It's just a castle full of insane people, basically.
Yeah, it's Americans. What do you expect?
Anyway.
If you want to get in touch with us with your thoughts on Tom or any of the characters that are on this series 3 of American Traitors, don't forget you can get in touch by email, faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com. If you're watching us on YouTube by searching Faithful to the Traitors podcast, you can comment underneath the video. Let us know what Tom's next act of madness will be in the castle by commenting underneath the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any future episodes of the podcast. You can also do the same by subscribing to us on any of your favourite podcast app. We're on X, @Traitors Podcast, on Instagram, @Faithful to the Traitors. If you like the podcast and you want to help support the show, tell your friends, but also you can go to buymeacoffee.com/faithful. Just like, and quick disclaimer, there may now be spoilers for the UK series because this is carried over from when we just finished the UK series 3 as well. So if you want to skip, or you just want to hear about the show, The Traitors US, and not us kind of talking out buy me a coffee comments, then you feel free to skip. However,
but
Anna,
don't, because you're going to miss loads of good stuff here.
Well, Anna shouldn't skip because she has bought us some silver bars, and she has said, "Hi, Alex and Ben. I love listening to your podcast on all the different Traitors iterations. Yes, we do New Zealand, Canada, and Australia as well, and soon Ireland. Love all the little catchphrases too, which I am quick to adapt. Tory boy, conspiracy bros, that's from the UK series. Always delivered with kindness and good humour. Keep up the good work. I've been interested to know which is your favourite series out of them all so far." I think I've already said New Zealand Series 1 is
special place.
Right up there. It's got a real special place in my heart.
Series 2 UK, I think, is the best UK.
I still stick Series 1 UK. Yeah, it was the original, the best.
So Hope also brought us a coffee. I'm so glad that you are all caught up on the US Traitors now.
Yeah.
We can all watch along and enjoy your witty, sweet humour afterwards. Regarding the Real Housewives, some have made cameos in other cities, but I can't recall any who have switched over to another city entirely. That's why we were asking that last episode, I think, where we said, I wonder if you just move to a new city, you can be in that Housewives series or not. So,
don't forget to let us know if you ride a bike to work as well. Delia has bought us some silver bars. I've loved your podcast since UK Series 1. My husband and I are faithfuls. But I reckon our cat Pushkin is a traitor. Charlie will not be pleased. He really enjoyed watching the finale on Friday, but seemed disappointed that Charlotte didn't win. Can't wait to watch the new US series. Well, I hope you're watching it right now and listening to the podcast as well.
So the cat was disappointed that Charlotte maybe didn't
win. That the traitor didn't win,
Interesting. Yes. Right, so Karen said, "Love your show. You both seem so nice."
Lies.
We're 100% faithful.
I'm like Tom. I'm just detoxing every episode.
I wish you were my friends.
Oh,
Karen.
We're your friends, Karen.
Everyone who listens to us is a friend.
Exactly.
I was glad Nikki went in episode 5. That was the US one, the WWE wrestler. She seemed like a nice girl, but her inability to correctly wear a shirt was driving me insane.
I suppose that would...
Does she wear her shirts like over her elbow, like her shoulders out and over her elbows, like flannel shirts, I think, didn't she?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. She was quite forgettable, Nikki. No offense, Nikki.
Why do so many of them wear hats? No one in the UK went around in hats all day long. I have no idea who any of these people are. Thank you. Me too. And I also had no idea who any of them in the UK were as well. So they're at least fairly normal, relatable people. Unlike these lot in the crazies in the castle. Because of this, the US is nowhere near as top tier as the UK. But along with your show, it is scratching an itch. Alan is fab, though. I don't cycle to work because I work from home, and I have 2 pet rabbits, and they are long-distance pets. And I'm also faithful, of course.
What are your rabbits, though? Are they faithful or are they traitors? Need to know this information.
They're long distance.
May I suggest that they're wearing hats because when I have hair which is a bit longer than this and I can't be bothered to do anything with it, I always pop on a hat. So I feel like that's the reason.
Tom's excuse, his perfect hair he has.
I feel like Rob's reason, because if you look at that little window in the back of his hat, which he wears the wrong way around, so it's the front of the hat, his hair seems a little greasy. So I feel like he doesn't wash it very often. Boston Rob, yes.
Sierra's always got a hat on, and Danielle had a hat this episode as well.
She did,
so lots
to hide her convicting eyes toward Carolyn. Simon Tither has bought us a silver bar. Hey, Simon. Thanks for our go-to podcast to accompany all Traitors series. We've watched all of the ones available on iPlayer. Cool, that's then New Zealand, America, and the UK. Fantastic. Oh, and Australia. Yeah. Just Canada you're missing then, really. Just wondering, are we the only ones obsessed by the small details behind the scenes? Where do the players sleep? Why in the US series do they appear to sleep in the castle but not the UK? What do they eat for breakfast? How much are they prompted by the producers behind the scenes? Where and when do they receive the murder letter? And at what time of night is the round table? Also, do you pause the TV constantly when watching the show to pick holes that the players are doing and saying? An hour show takes me about 90 minutes as I can't avoid commenting on the players picking out the same behaviour. As obvious signs of being a traitor or a faithful. We love it though, and stay faithful. Thank you, Simon. Yes, we're quite good actually. We can just watch.
Well, that's why we do this.
We
pick at it now.
Yeah, this is our detox. This is our picking.
I think if you listen to the podcast, you know we like to think about what is happening, how it's edited, how it's produced. But we do try to live in a bit of make believe, as in what we watch is just what happens and nothing else happens. So there's a bit of both. That's why we don't tend to interview any of the cast afterwards, because we just like to have the show as it's what it is.
We like to be in this bubble. Yeah. So people
and not pretend there's like, oh, producer told me to do this. It's like, no, don't want to hear that. Thank you.
People do get in touch with us from versions. The UK version series 1, we used to get people get in touch with us, and then the BBC were like, none of that, thank you very much. So they stopped doing that. But from other versions, people get in touch. And we do converse with some players outside of the show, but we don't like, as you say, doing the interview because we feel like our opinions stand and that's it.
It's just like
nothing else.
What we see is what it is. But we'd like to think like, in America, they go upstairs, pretend they stay at the hotel. But in the UK one, Claudia literally says, and they're all taken off to their own places separately. So, it's just different production and how they like to do it, really. I
do understand that, or under the understanding that what happens with them doing the murder and the letter and all that lot, that does happen quite late into the night, apparently. So they're filming till like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then they're up again about 8 or 9 to then start the new day, which is why after 7 days, they're given a break.
A day off, aren't they? Yeah.
They're given a day off.
Sundays off, I think.
Inverted.
And also, they then film all those bits like all in one bunch later, like the 3 traitors walking up and down a hallway, or 2 traitors, or handing a letter to Alan, or all those bits in the bath. That's all just done later
afterwards. Our favourite parts, the bits in the bath.
So this is from Faithful or Am I? Hello to the Best Traitors podcast. I've listened to all of your shows except series 1 and 2 of US. American Traitors is unwatchable. Brackets, and I say that as someone who watched series 2 Australia. Well, I don't not agree, but I think series 3 is the best so far, but we'll see what happens.
It's the best series of America they've done, but I would say series 2 Australia, if you can struggle through that, then you'll be okay getting through the other 2 series of America.
But I am listening to USA series 3 of your podcast anyway, and it stands on its own. Good to see you rating so highly on iTunes. P.S. I get the train to work.
Oh, thank you very much. Don't forget to let us know how you get to work. And finally, Mike has bought us silver bars as well. Thank you ever so much, Mike, for your generosity. And they have written, noted your prediction 2 episodes. Oh, this is from the UK series. Noted your prediction 2 episodes ago that Leanne and Jake, and they came true. We both said Leanne and Jake were going to win, and they did.
Conspiracy bros.
The conspiracy bros reigned. I did wonder why the Faithfuls didn't just discuss the drama between Charlotte and Frankie and decide to get them both out to be sure. Was obvious this would play out in the end anyway. I mean, funny enough, talking about that twist of the seer, I've seen a lot of people have said that actually it was implemented at the wrong time. It should have been implemented earlier in the series because it made basically Frankie and Charlotte both guilty, so they would have been voted off. So it didn't work for either of them.
I wonder if we're going to get that in this series.
Never know. It tends to go that way, doesn't it? Anyway, look, we're halfway in and we've done very little about the show. Although we have talked about bits and pieces.
Okay, so let's talk then. So we had another confrontation at the turret, which seems to be the running theme of this series, because there was another one at the end of this episode and probably another one tomorrow, next week's as well.
Yep.
Where Carolyn wanted to confront Danielle for throwing her name out there.
Yeah, so Danielle is going for Carolyn. Carolyn is going for Boston, wants to get Boston Rob, but Danielle's also going for Boston Rob. The thing is, the annoying thing is, if Danielle and Carolyn literally just talk to each other, they would realise that they both have a common enemy, which is Boston Rob. And the only one who seems to be calming the situation between the whole three of them is Boston Rob, which is strange.
But he's also the most untrustworthy, so I don't even trust what he says there.
So really confusing seeing them all at the turret. Danielle shouts like, "We need a reset," and so she thinks by saying that, that's kind of calmed the waters again. But then all it took was the breakfast table for the waters to get choppy once again, because then Carolyn started hearing little whispers from every corner in the house about what Danielle has been saying about him behind her back.
And when it came to like picking a murderer, Rob wanted to get rid of like the really obvious people who had thrown his name out, and it's like, this goes to prove again you're not very good at this. Like,
no,
the people who were suspicious of him, he's like, oh yeah, murder them. It's like, even Danielle was just like, no, that's stupid, don't do it. And then he ended up murdering Bob Harper, who put his name out.
Which was the weird thing, because they went for Wes and Bob Harper, and both for the same reasons, as that he's a threat and they're keeping him in would be dangerous, but then it would look obvious on Rob. But Rob wanted Bob Harper to go because of it, because then I think he then later down the line could use it as an excuse on the round table to show his innocence, because it would look too obvious because Bob Harper had been murdered. The other person they said was Ivor. And I don't know if I'm missing something here, but they kept saying, oh, he's so faithful. Everyone believes he's faithful. And there's no way that he's ever going to get voted out, so he has to be murdered. But only last episode, Ivor was still getting votes for being a traitor. So I don't know what happened between last episode to the turret, like some jump that Ivor's now become very trusted.
I think because he's a British royal, he's not in this Bravo contract crowd.
Yes.
Or challenge crowd, or Big Brother crowd, or Survivor crowd. Because we saw this last series of US with the guy from Parliament.
He was the Speaker of Parliament.
He was kind of singled out, and they were like, well, we'll just get rid of him because he's just what he is. And
but he was like one of the best players.
Yeah, he was. But even at breakfast, when they thought he was murdered, they were like, well, would it be that bad because all he does is drink tea? So I don't think they don't really care about him. So I guess none of the team tend to care.
Ivor's not very helpful though either.
No, he's very flaky.
Yeah,
like he gets some really good info, and he gets really good like team together. But then he like just goes to the other side and tells them straight away every time, because he did that again this episode with Derek and Rob.
This is the thing, isn't it? Because Derek came up to him and said like, right, you know, we're all going for you know who, and Ivor then started playing the ignorance card. It was like, who's that? I don't know who you're talking about.
The guy that you said literally last night, tell me who. Yeah. And then he said to him, and then he then went off and then told Rob. It's like, what's going on? So
Ivor,
he's a bit stupid.
I don't like Ivor, so I would happily watch him get murdered, to be perfectly honest with you. But I agree with you. I think because he's the odd one out in the crowd, they're basically him and our poor mate Tom are kind of like being left out in the rain, and the rest of them are playing a game amongst each other.
Apparently Tom puts out 70 different theories every 10 minutes basically, so no one's really listening to him. But in a way, is he also going to be like the most faithful by doing this?
No, because they just ignoring him. And at the round table, they did say that there's nothing more dangerous than a erratic, bad faithful. So
they said that to him, and he looked really shocked. Like, you can't be talking about me,
because he thinks Dolores is like the one. He's like obsessed. He heard it in his drug-addled dreams. His, you know that scene in Trainspotting when the baby is walking along the roof when he's on his like detox. That's literally Tom. Well, that's literally I feel like Tom every night. He goes downstairs with his sheets covered in shit, waiting for someone to like wash them for him.
Right.
Sorry, I shouldn't be so mean about Big Tom. Poor Tom.
You leave Tom alone. He needs to get his commercial, his shampoo advert.
Well, you could have an advert for Persil or Fairy non-bio for his sheets.
He had another bath though, didn't he?
He needs to have a bath because he keeps shit in his bed.
2 episodes he had a bath with his rubber ducky, and then he had another one this episode.
So. Oh, don't forget his rubber ducky. Does he stick it up his arse?
Right, so
maybe he has to plunge the shit.
We did lose Bob Harper.
I love the fact you're moving on. Carry on. Yes, we did.
Just because people are saying he's the most hated person in American reality show, we can't.
No, we were saying that we asked the question in like episode 1. Does Tom like pleasuring himself with a rubber duck up his arse?
I can't remember asking that specific
extending that question.
But Bob Harper was murdered. Sad Bob Harper went. We like him. We knew him. We knew him. One of the
Biggest Loser. One of the reality shows we used to watch. Don't give up. Never give in. Do it.
So we got to do a little bit of a.
What's your name and where do you come from?
Bob
Harper.
H. Oh, ruined it.
This is from the Independent.co.uk, everyone. So this isn't my writing. It's the Independent's. The celebrity personal trainer, 59.
Goodness, he's great for 59.
can get up that hill though, could he? He's best known for his work on The Biggest Loser, where he
What show's
trained
that? Never heard of it.
when he trained contestants for the show from 2004 to 2009. He then later became the host of the show in 2015.
He was only in it for 5 years.
Well, they've made like 3 series a year.
Yeah,
didn't
that's
they?
true. They do
You know
make a
what
lot.
America's like.
Yeah.
He kept coming and leaving and coming back. So then he hosted it,
Oh, I know.
succeeding Alison Sweeney. We love her.
We
don't
loved Alison.
She won The Biggest Loser 1? Was it the first? Or she's like the Kelly Clarkson version of Biggest Loser.
No, Alison Sweeney. No, Caroline Rhea hosted it, series 1 from
Alison
Sabrina.
Sweeney was a contestant and then she became a
No,
host.
she wasn't because she's famous for being in a soap opera in America. She's also
is
in
she?
that really bad Hallmark movie. Remember we watched it because we were like, it's Alison Sweeney.
Who was it that presents Biggest Loser who used to be a contestant then? I thought that was... Anyway, it doesn't
Bob
really
Harper.
matter. This is the Traitors. Harper also joined the first series of The New Celebrity Apprentice in 2017 as an advisor. That's an odd role for him. That's the one that Arnie Schwarzenegger
That's Arnold
did.
Schwarzenegger series, yes.
Yeah, well, we all know what happened to The Apprentice, don't we?
Well, we all know what happened to one person in The Apprentice. Fucking hell.
Quite.
Sorry, excuse my language.
So, yeah, we lost Bob, which is a shame. He was a good player. He called out Rob and then got killed. Wes also called out Rob and then they went after him as well. So,
yes.
that's where we're standing at the moment. So
That's
we've
where
got
we're at.
the mission then.
Yes, the mission. The Claudia's boyfriend.
Now Alan's boyfriend.
Yes.
Possibly.
Do we ask the same questions as we did about Claudia?
No, I didn't ask any questions.
Well,
Your mind's in the gutter today with all this Tom,
really is, isn't
Tom
it?
talk and Claudia
rubber
talk.
ducky and large pendants.
So they didn't really go after the money on this one because they had to gather gunpowder, answer questions, and there was some boxes with shields in, and that was like their main target for about 25 minutes of the 30 minutes that they had. They wanted the shields.
Yes.
They
Rightly
had
so.
to run. They had to go in pairs. Rob said,
More than
"Make
pairs,
sure there's
there were
two
groups of 3.
Yeah,
and
he
there's
said,
about
"Make
4
sure
or
there's
5.
2 men to 1 woman." Rob said, because women can't do it.
Well, women are weak. Of course they are. That's how Rob's mind works, isn't
That's
it?
Boston Rob.
That's why Rob wants to get rid of the 2 women from... If Rob had his way, everyone in the toilet would be men, wouldn't he? Let's be honest. You mark my words. If Danielle or Carolyn go out and they decide to recruit, although it's getting quite late in the game now, but if they decide to recruit, it will be a male recruitment. And it will probably be Dylan.
Yeah.
Because Dylan and Rob have some weird kind of connection.
Fanboy, isn't he?
Like they're like doing that over the table, like
So
Christ.
yeah, they're all in pairs. The traitors weren't smart, and there was 2 traitors in one team, Carolyn and Danielle.
Silly mistake.
Because then there was one team with Robin, and then one team with no traitors in.
Yep.
So that team, they don't know who's got the shield.
So that team are, unbeknown to them, are completely safe because there's no way they can guess who in that team had a shield. So they'd have to look at the other 2 teams. But yeah, that was a really silly mistake. I mean, they were rushing to present themselves into teams so they could go off and start playing the game. But they should have made sure that there was one traitor in every team so they know from that moment that if they all got the shields, they knew exactly who the shields went to.
But it just shows these traitors are not talking to each other, really.
Well, they're not...
There's just another little sign there about how they're not doing well.
Well, look at the look between Danielle and Carolyn on the car journey. Like, they literally couldn't even speak to... They couldn't even look at each other. And then at the buffet later, Carolyn went over to get something and Danielle kind of looked at her and like smiled and Danielle, and Carolyn looked at her back and was like, no, I wouldn't piss on you on fire, love.
Because Brittany had a word with Carolyn, didn't she? She said, someone told me that you were saying my name. And Carolyn was in the middle of what I believe was a turmeric orange shot from Costa Coffee, looked like. You know, those horrible... I had one once by mistake. It's because I bought one by mistake once, do you remember? And I didn't realise it was turmeric. And she was in the middle of that. And then Brittany said, someone said you said my name. And she just spat it back into the bottle.
Yes.
There was a sink there. But no, she tried to put it back into that tiny bottle. And she was like, no, I never said that.
Because she believes in saving things to use for later.
Love Carolyn. She's my number 1. And obviously Danielle has been putting Carolyn's name out there and pretending that Carolyn is saying people's names. Because she never said Brittany's name. But we did learn later that Danielle was like, well, you wanted to murder her, so that's
why I said the name. And Carolyn was like, that's ridiculous. How am I meant to defend that? It is ridiculous. But Danielle, but the only way I will defend Danielle on this one is that she started saying Carolyn's name in the last episode, yesterday.
Yeah, and people only were telling her today.
People were then telling Carolyn today. Danielle actually wasn't pursuing that this episode.
Damage is done though.
But the damage had already been done. But if Danielle and Carolyn had had a bit of a conversation with one another and weren't kind of like throwing daggers all the time at each other, they could have maybe smoothed the ground a little bit between them, and maybe then discussed, because there was another big kind of push for Rob. And if only Danielle and Carolyn hadn't kind of like had that weird argument around the round table, I think that they could have maybe backed up Wes and Derek better and tried to push for Rob further. Because Danielle, unfortunately, then made the mistake of also going for Rob at the round table. So now Danielle's in a really awkward position where both Carolyn and Rob don't trust her. And she's the one who wanted to get rid of, to be fair, she wanted to get rid of both of them so she could build up her new traitor kin in the Traitors Tower.
The whole traitor situation
it
is just a big mess, whichever way you look at it. If you support any one of these traitors, you can look at it as it being a mess all three ways, basically.
Yes.
Like they've all messed up in different ways
making mistakes
because of each other and because of themselves. And it's just a big mess. But like the big thing that was going on was basically Derek wanted to go after Rob and he was kind of going around trying to get numbers. Brittany is still annoying me. Again, another Big Brother player who they keep saying like she's this great game player. I don't see it with Brittany. She's just not doing good things, and I don't like her gameplay.
I think it doesn't help that Brittany is another one who's Team Rob. She's keeping like
blindly as well.
Yeah, no evidence or no real factual behind it, other than I think that Brittany thinks that if she keeps Rob close, she can carry on his coattails and get to the final.
Should we get another catchphrase going? Rob, is he a cult leader? He's got Dylan and Brittany blindly following him no matter what. It's a bit.
He is quite cult-like because
like they're blindly just believing what. I think Gabby and Chriselle are also a little bit. I mean, one of them did vote Rob, but like I can't remember which one. But like it's all a bit like I'm just going to believe whatever you say, Rob. And like the way he talks and like round the round. Even you nearly joined his cult actually, saying round the round table he's quite good. He's
good round the round table.
That's what I mean. He's obviously good at doing a speech. He's a bit Nigel Farage, Donald Trumpy. Speech-wise, like, I believe
Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, whatever you say, I'll believe. Basically, is his way of talking, and it seems to be working with a few of them, specifically Brittany.
Can I just say that I don't think we should liken Rob to a right-wing nut.
But like, you know what I mean? Like those type of people are only popular because they're good at
they're able to pull in a crowd, so they could talk absolute nonsense, but the people would still believe it. Yeah,
so that's what it's a bit like, bit cult leadery.
Rob's got this he's perceived as being this great game player, and actually by his strength of talking he is a very good game player. His tactics I feel not so hot,
not suited to the traitors.
No, but he's able to kind of manipulate people's voting and thoughts. So for that I think Rob is a good game player, and I think with that also I don't think Rob needs to utter a word for Dylan and Brittany to completely be persuaded by him, because they're thinking that he can carry them to the end.
And so despite Gabby, I would put Gabby in there as well.
So despite him being a traitor or not a traitor, I think they think that if they keep him to the end, they're safe to the end too. Yeah. Because if you notice after the round table, Rob was going to each individual one by one who hadn't voted for him and thanking them. And again, that's a very that's a tactic. He's like going, "Thank you for believing in me."
He said it to Sierra as well. And she was like, "Oh yeah, of course. No, you're 100. Of course, yeah. He was like reconfirming their thing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he did it to Sam as well. He was like, "Thanks for having my back." And he's like, "Oh yeah." So there's quite a lot of them actually, which are very a bit too loyal, even though that. It's quite obvious what Derek was saying, what Wes was saying.
There was logic there.
It was like the most logic, and they still didn't do it.
They said they basically Derek accused him of voting. Bob the drag queen voted for Rob. There was that shootout between them at the round table, which looked like a traitor versus traitor argument. As soon as Bob the drag queen brought up that it must be one of the new people, and this is Derek saying this as well. So he was one of the new people who would be involved in that, encapsulated that.
Because Wes said that as well, didn't he?
Yep.
They literally clocked exactly what happened.
And you instantly then started wanting to go for Bob the drag queen, which is really suspicious. There was evidence behind his point, but then Boston Rob kind of countered it very well, he said that the elimination, the murder of this morning would make him a target. You need to look at who's making the most chaos, which is Wes and Derek, specifically Wes, which then brought the conversation to Wes. And
also that final point he made, he said when the last thing Bob said was everything I've told you is a lie. Yes. And I think that did convince a few people who may have voted him not to, because it was quite close in the end, the votes. But I think that last bit, it's like, did sway it. But yeah.
Wes made a big mistake though, because when Wes had the finger pointed at him, and this was his opportunity to kind of clear his name, he was also accused by a few people for being quite aggressive for the way he kind of persuaded people. And instead of saying, like, he could have just stopped at "I'll dial my aggression down," but he didn't stop it there. He then said, "But every single one of you who's accusing me, I'm watching you, and
you're marked.
You're marked." And it's like, oh, for goodness sake, that was his downfall. That was the comment that basically buried himself, to quote Derek.
I was a bit sad that Wes got voted out.
I wasn't until he made his speech, because he was a dickhead at that speech.
He sort of, his mask kind of slipped where he did that thing where he said you're all marked, and then it's like, okay, so this person, I think you were pretending who you were, because his exit was really like,
you're
shitty.
all pawns, and I've played every single one of you.
Nothing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he swore at them all.
Yeah, and then he put his middle finger up and then walked off, and was like, "Mate, you're faithful for one, so there was no need to get angry and upset because it was it's just one of those common mistakes that happens in this show." 2, why are you taking it so personally? It's like, for someone who claims that he doesn't care about everyone, his feelings were hurt. He was very upset that people voted for him. It's like, calm down, Wes, cool it off, mate.
I do feel like that was a bit of a mask slip moment, and it's like, okay, the person who you were edited to be. He literally admitted, "Oh yeah, I'm aggressive." It's like, tell me about it. I saw that then. So
you all. You're all pawns in my game.
I was.
Well, you played a great game, mate.
I was a bit upset that he lost and Rob won again, but actually, I feel he's not.
And maybe this is the cult of Rob. But I actually I was upset because Rob hasn't been found out. But at the same time, I liked Rob's approach at it. I thought Rob wasn't yelling, he wasn't aggressive, he wasn't shouting at anyone, he was calm, he was cool, he put his side across really well. He was able to, because another common thing a lot of people say is like, well, that's all fine and well, but who do you think it is? And then that's sometimes when people stumble, they're like, oh, I think it's blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like, oh, of course you're going to say that. But he went for someone who actually no one had said at that point. And to be fair, Wes was meant to be going forward to the attack with Derek, but didn't. He kind of sat back and let Derek attack, again showing Wes that was a bit weak. Wes, you could have backed Derek a bit more, because that probably would have helped him out as well, because then as soon as the finger was pointed at him by Boston Rob, Wes could have said, well, of course you're going to say that, Rob, because I'm accusing you. So again, Rob worked. Rob did a really good job at the round table.
I mean, it is almost on the cusp of, would you say?
I think that this season should be called The Dummies.
It is on the cusp.
We're getting there, but to be fair, he is a better player than Sam. Sam was just falling into... it was... In Sam's case, all the players were idiots. In this case, I don't think... Well, bar 1 or 2, I don't think everyone is idiots. They are starting to feel the ground and find him. But Rob is just a good enough player that he can just keep above it. And
it might be like that typical Traitors US tactic of keeping traitors in who you know are traitors until the end to then get rid of them, keep yourself safe. Maybe that's what Dylan and Brittany and Sierra are doing. And Sam, who knows? Maybe
someone's going to drop a note next to their chair and it will say, this person's a traitor.
We don't talk about producer influence here.
No, we do not.
So we have got one, because Wes did get the vote. What were the votes in the end then? Because he did go.
Wes got 7.
Yeah.
Rob got 5. So it was tight. Yeah, so Danielle got 1. Guess who voted for Danielle? And we missed out. Tom got a vote from Dolores, because when called out by Dolores at the round table, I have to bring this up, when called out by Dolores at the round table, because he was saying her name to everyone who cared to listen
with no reason really,
his reason was, so she said, tell me your reasons, and she said, I'm not mad at you, Tom, I just need to know your reasons. And instantly he was like, well, it's like he was like the equivalent of shuffling paper at the end of the news. He said, you don't ask any questions, and she just looked up and went, to you, I don't know.
And then literally everyone around the table was like, well, can we move on, because we're tight on time and we actually want to do an actual
Tom was
theory.
Like, no,
we want to put an actual theory out here, so can we just move on for you, Tom? Yeah, they're kind of brushing Tom away.
Bless him.
But Wes did go. Danielle did vote for Rob, which was a mistake which we talked about. So,
yes,
it was close, but not quite. But Wes did go.
What's your name and where do you come from?
Wes.
40 years old.
Wesley.
This isn't from The Independent, everyone, because The Independent didn't know that Wes was a contestant, you see. So we don't have a fact file. But we did have a comment from someone on our YouTube, and they said, I can't wait for you to get to Wes's fact file, because we always talk about how people have been on loads of series of things. Well, they said, I can't wait for you to read out Wes's.
Oh, well, because of the amount of things he's been on.
He's done a lot of things. Are you ready?
Yeah.
He has done, because he's from The Challenge. Okay. So he's done The Real World Austin.
Oh, The Real World? That's an MTV show.
He's done The Duel. Rivals 2, All Stars 3. This is all the challenge, by the way, and was a finalist on Fresh Meat, the challenge Fresh Meat. Rivals, the first Rivals.
Kill me.
Champs versus Pros. What's the difference between Champs versus Pros? I don't know.
God knows.
Then he did Champs versus All Stars 2.
What's the difference between Champs and All Stars?
What's the difference between All Stars and Champs versus All Stars? And War of the Worlds. He also competed on The Ruins, Fresh Meat 2, Battle of the Exes, Battle of the Seasons 2012, Battle of the Exes 2, Rivals 3, Champs versus Stars 1, War of the Worlds 2,
Heavens me.
Total Madness, Double Agents.
Sorry, Total Madness, is that just a comment or is that an actual show?
That's a show.
Okay,
of
carry
the
on.
challenge, I'm assuming.
Total Madness.
Double Agents, World Championship, and the Challenge US 2.
Oh, just a small portfolio then.
So, he's making his... I'm not going to go through anything else because that's just ridiculous.
That's all you need to know about him, really.
But yeah.
This game player that would trample on his own children to win $100,000.
And swear at all of them. None of them mean anything to him, but he is gone.
What a ridiculous amount of reality shows to do. I say this
And
every
now
episode.
the Traitors.
I say this every episode. How do you build a career doing reality television?
Well, quite easily, clearly.
I need to work
And
this
he's only
out.
40, so God knows how many more he can do. I don't even know what the challenge is.
It's on Paramount, isn't it?
I don't know.
The streaming service, sorry.
Yeah.
Remember, because we had a free sample for it because we watched Yellow Jackets.
Oh, yeah. Not the challenge. Very different.
Well, we saw the challenge was on there and we were like, do we give it a go?
There was a UK one hosted by Mark Wright, wasn't there?
There was.
But I think there's one series. That was
because
it.
it's shit.
Not like 40.
Because
so.
isn't the challenge also not just about the challenge, but also a dating show? Didn't we discover?
Possibly, because he was in The Exes.
Total Madness.
Versus The Exes. Battle of the Exes.
Can you just click
So-
on Total Madness, please? Something my curiosity is piqued at
Total Madness. The challenge Total Madness.
Oh, it is the challenge. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's just
all
a
of them are
spin-off
the
of the
challenge.
challenge.
The series features various reality stars competing for a share of $1 million.
Ooh.
The season was filmed in Prague.
Oh.
So
What made it madness, though?
Don't know. The war is over, but the madness is only just beginning. Returning to the solo,
Sounds like the
returning
American
to the
election.
solo format in which every man and woman is competing solely for themselves. The challenge Total Madness will pit 21 veterans and 7 rookies against one another in the most insane challenges ever devised in the show's 22-year history. Who will take home the $1 million prize and who will succumb to madness? No, I don't know what the twist of that series was, but
I hope their
doesn't sound like there
aftercare
was one.
team is good enough that they can cure this madness.
So if Wes if he's won some of them, surely he's won some of them if he keeps coming back. He must have a few $1 million.
Well, plus he's probably getting endorsements and interviews he's getting paid for. I'm
He's
sure he's
fine.
Well, they're all fine. You said yourself they're getting paid to do this. Like none of them, they're probably getting paid more than the actual prize money.
Apart
at the
from
end
Sam,
of the series.
because he divorced Britney Spears, so he's not doing fine.
All his
anymore.
money's being filtered back to Britney and her. Why won't they just let Britney live, Ben? Why won't they just let her
Poor
live?
Britney. I wonder if Britney's watching.
Yeah.
Sam.
The only way to find out is by going on her Instagram and seeing what green screen shenanigans she's up to this
No,
week.
she's not on there anymore. She's free of that.
Is she
Right,
good?
so the last turret then was
Yes.
the last thing. And again, they didn't really talk about murder. It was more them just fighting because
having a
Carolyn
fight.
just stared at Danielle.
I know.
And because Caroline voted for Danielle and called her around the round table. Danielle voted for Rob. Rob voted for Wes. So he was kind of neutral here. But Caroline's basically said, well, I'm just going to go after you, Danielle, because there's
Yes.
nothing else. But which is fair enough, because what else can she do? She's kind of ruined her game. Like, Danielle's ruined Caroline's game, and Caroline's going to ruin Danielle's game.
The only one who's really not showing their cards about who they're going to align to, either Danielle, Carolyn, or if at all, is Rob. Danielle, I thought said something quite telling that her, and you saw, it's funny, from the episodes before Rob joined to the episodes after Rob joined the Traitors, Danielle was very strong, very confident.
She's very panicked. Her gameplay is very panicked and, like, sporadic.
Yeah, she's changed so much now. And even like her makeup is like, not to say that women's makeup is the reflection of their soul, but like, you know, it's a bit more less, like it's more smeared, like she's been crying all the time. And her hair is a bit more messy. Like I think Danielle's slowly unraveling. And Danielle
Total madness.
Total Madness. The Traitors, Total Madness, Series 4. And Danielle did say that my paranoia kicked in the moment you started going for Bob the Drag Queen.
Because Bob was her ride and die, not ride or die. I think she got that a bit wrong a few episodes ago. Her ride and die.
Okay.
So she wanted to die with him. But yeah, she was upset. That was a fair enough comment. We said that. It's like, Rob, this all these traitors going against each other, it does spiral back to Rob going too early for Bob. Mm-hmm. And Danielle, that was her best mate, and she can't trust Rob, which is fair enough because you can't. But she then put Caroline's name out there instead of Rob's because she wanted to get rid of Caroline first to team up with someone, which I think she wants to team up with Brittany, which is stupid because Brittany's
on Rob's side.
Rob's cult. So it's just the whole thing is just doesn't make sense. And Danielle is not thinking ahead. She's just doing things and saying lies here and saying lies there, and she's getting caught out all the time and not doing a good gameplay.
And considering from episode 1, Danielle said we need to think 10, 20, 30 moves ahead of everyone else, and Caroline was like, what?
And Caroline's the one who's least... Not many people are thinking she's a traitor. Even the ones that Danielle had put her name out to. I don't think they're particularly bothered. So
you're right. She's the least suspicious of them all, which is mad considering
so if I was
that
Rob,
Danielle...
I would team up with Caroline and say, let's get rid of Danielle. Because Rob hasn't really gone against Caroline, has he really?
No, but Caroline's paranoid about Rob as well. The problem is if only Danielle and Caroline talked to one another, they could have figured it out. But as you say, what happened was Danielle decided that she wanted to get Caroline out first and then go for Rob. She got the wrong order. She got the wrong order. She got the order wrong. Wrong order wrong. Yeah, she should have gone for Rob first and got Caroline and on side, and then maybe go for Caroline if she wanted to. But I don't know. I think Caroline's more feisty than we've given her credit for. She eats cereal with a fork. Yeah, and she spits out in a spit take type scenario. She won't just spit it into someone's face. She'll put it politely back in the bottle.
Yeah, not in the sink. Nope. She needs it for later. Her turmeric orange from Costa Coffee.
A few men have said that to her.
So yeah, we don't really know who's up for murder because it's all a bit dicey because they don't particularly know who's got a shield. They obviously, I don't, unless Dylan's told Rob off camera, I've got the shield, maybe. But,
I'm sure Dylan has.
But Caroline knows she has, and Rob will know that Chriselle has, but no one knows that Dylan has. So it'll be someone in one of those groups that we don't really know who.
But the mad thing is...
But none of them really care, do they? The traitors don't care who's murdered.
That's what I mean. The mad thing is that I don't think any of them want to murder anyone. I think they would rather... do something to each other.
It's going to be someone easy like Sam, Tom, or Ivor, I guess. Unless Rob wants to be stupid and kill Derek.
I honestly don't know what the traitors can do at this point because, despite obviously there's been times when traitor and traitors happened and they've all ended up going back to the turret afterwards. But the ground has been there's been some kind of appeasement, but knowingly in the back of their mind they're going for each other, but at least they're able to still have a common ground of who they want to murder. I don't think there is that common ground. I really don't. No. And I mean, I just don't know. And what was it? Interestingly, Derek said something. Just flick my page. Yeah, Derek said something to Dylan, funnily enough, and he said that Boston Rob will murder me, and you mark my words, tomorrow at the breakfast table he'll say, they're setting me up, so he'll use the same reason again, so just keep your eye on it. And Dylan
so I'm wondering if, because we know Rob's a bit hot-headed, he'll just kill Derek even though it doesn't make sense gameplay wise.
Well, it gets rid of the 3, doesn't it?
Will Dylan betray his master?
Because Rob's only got Derek left. If he's still kind of having the comment that Bob the Drag Queen said hanging over him all the time, if he gets rid of Derek, unfortunately that leaves him as the last newbie who could be a traitor.
Yeah, that's true.
So he really ideally need to keep Derek in the game. Derek doesn't know that, does he? Derek's not really thought about that. But oh my goodness, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
It is a total mess, but we are here for it for another 5
absolutely.
weeks.
I'm here for the insanity, total madness.
But it is one a week now, which is a bit annoying because I hate one a week, but it's fine. It gives lots of people time to get in contact with us.
It certainly does. Good link. And you can by going by emailing faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, by searching Faithful to the Traitors podcast, comment underneath the video and like, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any future episodes. You can also subscribe on any of your favorite podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you find us on X @Traitors Podcast, Instagram @Faithful to the Traitors, don't forget to share us with your friends. If you like the podcast, give us a 5-star review as well. And you can also help us by going to buymeacoffee.com/faithful. If you attach a comment to it, we guarantee we'll read it out by our way of saying thank you for helping with the show as well.
Lovely then. So until next week.
Yes.
Remember to stay faithful.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.